Be a calling card of this year's NBA playoffs. 9 different All-Stars have missed time with this postseason with injury. Some think it was due to the shorter than usual offseason coming out of the bubble and the new addition of a play-in round to begin the playoffs. So LeBron had this to say in part on Twitter regarding load management earlier in the month. He said, quote, "They all didn't want to listen to me about the start of the season. I knew exactly what would happen. I only wanted to protect the well-being of the players. These injuries just isn't part of the game. 8, possibly 9 All-Stars have missed playoff games, the most in league history. This is the best time of the year for our league and fans, but missing a ton of our favorite players. I speak for the health of all of our players, and I hate to see this many injuries this time of year. Sorry, fans. Wish you guys were seeing all of your favorite guys right now." All right, well, in response to that, 4-time NBA champion Shaquille O'Neal recently said this, quote, "When you're living in a world where 40 million people have been laid off and I'm making $200 million, you won't get no complaining from me. I'd play back to back to back to back to back. I'm not knocking what anybody said, but me personally, I don't complain and make excuses because real people are working their tail off. And all we got to do is train 2 hours a day and then play a game for 2 hours at night and make a lot of money. So my thought process is a little different." All right. Shaq coming back. So, Monica, do you agree or disagree with Shaq's comments?
This is very interesting, you guys, Charlie and Kirk. I agree with Shaq's comments. As someone who does my best to lead a life in which I chase gratitude, always. That's my personal mantra.
This girl has a million jobs, by the way.
And I'm very grateful for all of them. However, I will say that gratefulness and gratitude does not mean that you do not expect, demand, or work toward better in terms of what you do. And we saw this very personally near and dear to my heart in the women's NCAA tournament this year, right? Yes, those women and those teams were thankful, all of college basketball for that matter, was thankful that we were able to get to an NCAA tournament, but that gratitude did not stop the women of the NCAA tournament, particularly Oregon Sedona Prince, from making a statement about how things can be better and things can improve. This is an interesting contrast from what Shaq is saying to what LeBron is saying, because if you listen to what LeBron wrote there, he's speaking on behalf of the league, and LeBron, is in a position of leadership, right? And so it's not necessarily him saying, I got hurt, although we could argue that I got hurt because of this condensed season and the shortened off season, but he represents the league at large. And so I also understand that Shaq wrote in there personally how he handles things. And so I think there's room to be grateful and understand how blessed you are, but also know within your profession, there is still room to be better and to have a voice that represents the entire body of players, Perk.
Well, I'm going to say this. Shaq was right. You know, there's guys out here making $200 million. But guess what? What he left out was that's peanuts to what the owners are making. All right, and this is what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's all about the dollar. And did the NBA and the ownership group do a great job of putting these players in position health-wise? I don't think so. They didn't. Think about it. They rushed training camp to get to Christmas Day. Why? Because the Christmas Day games is so important for its money and revenue outside of the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, you know what? They told the players, hey, we're not going to have an all-star break because we have such a tight schedule and you guys are going to be playing games and COVID protocols and issues to that. Guess what? They reneged on their word. They had an all-star game. They had an all-star weekend. So guys had to play. Look at the guys that are injured right now. These are the guys that are expected to step up every single night and give the fans what they want. Please the fans, give the fans entertainment, play a lot of minutes because fans pay their hard-earned money, and rightfully so. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure you protect your product. And by that, we knew that COVID was going to happen. We knew that it was going to be cancellation of games. So guess what? Guys had to do makeup games. Look at these playoffs. Usually in the Western Conference, sometimes you get 2 days in between games. It's not like that. Every other day you're playing. Every other day you're on a plane traveling. So guys are being injured. You have to get accustomed to the workload. And I really believe that the NBA, and I love Adam Silver, did a disservice to the entire body of the NBA players for us putting them in position, body and health-wise, to go out there and make sure that these guys were going to be okay. This is why we're seeing injuries. Now, did all the injuries happen, because of, how many games they played or not getting enough rest? Probably not, but majority of them did. We have the most in NBA history, so something telling me that something went wrong. So at the end of the day, I'm standing with the players on this. Yes, they're making $200, but guess what the NBA and the owners are making? They're making billions.
So, Perk, this is my one question, and I have to ask you because obviously these are still numbers that I dream of, baby. Dreams do come true. Anyway, this season still had to be agreed upon. Am I correct in that? From the Players Association and the league?
Yeah, but look, let's not be fooled, okay? Don't let the people sit up here and tell you that the sky is green and the grass is blue, Monica. You know better than that. Yeah, it has to be agreed upon. I get that. But at the end of the day, we already know with this CBA that the owners are still in control. At the end of the day, listen, at the end of the day, they know that players need that money. They need their money. And I'm not talking about the guys that make $200 million. I'm talking about the guys that are on the lower tier, guys that are on rookie deals, guys that are on veteran minimums, or guys that are not making as much, equipment managers. They know that these guys need that money, so they hold their feet to the fire and say, hey, either we're going to do this, or did you know it's an agreement in there that at any given time, if the players don't want to kind of interact or compromise with the ownership group, that they could rip the CBA up because of the pandemic? And guess what? Who does that hurt? Not the ownership group that owns hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. Steve Ballmer's on the sideline grabbing people's necks while they're screaming and hollering.
I get it.
Because he's the richest person in the world.
I get it. This is big time money, but it is the same kind of dynamic between employee and employer. And I understand that. But all I'm saying is, just like I can't be naive to where the power is actually being wielded, I don't know that we can be naive, because I'm pretty sure that all the players through the league, somebody, as we seen, because we got here, agreed that this was the best opportunity. Now, was it a perfect scenario? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It was not perfect, but it is layered. Let's go with that. Because I don't think it's as simple as the owners was about to rip up the CBA, because players know they needed to get paid as well. And this season, the other part we got to acknowledge, and we cannot ever skip over this part in terms of world history, the pandemic put pressure on all of us and everything that we do. So many people across the globe had to compromise what they were accustomed to in order to make it work. And that includes these NBA players. And so, yes, lead with gratitude. Yes, also plan in case we have an extraordinary circumstance like this ever again. It doesn't necessarily have to go this way.
But the problem also is this creates a cyclical effect, because of last season, it affects this season, which will then affect next season. So, Perk, do you see anything changing in the upcoming season? Because there will, again, be a condensed schedule.
I don't know, because now they're talking about having a certain type of play-in tournament, another tournament inside of the season. And this is what I'm saying. I'm not disagreeing with you, Monica, to your point. What I'm saying is that have 50 games, you know what I mean, if you're going to start the season early. Because the players were under the impression that the season was going to start in like January. All of a sudden, they get within a month, they say, oh, you have to report to training camp. We're going to hurry up and start like the middle of December so that we can have Christmas Day games. That's not fair, knowing that they're coming off a short NBA season. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, I get it. It's entertainment to the rest of the world. And I get it. People want to look at it and say these guys are getting paid this, that, and the other. But these guys are still human beings.
Yeah, and I agree. And again, that's why I would conclude, Perk, on this one. It is a layered conversation. Were things done perfectly across the board? No. But had we ever been in such a situation? Coming off the bubble season, a condensed season, the responsibilities of the league to the players and all the money involved, we had never been in this situation. So all parties, in my mind, need to give one another a little bit of grace. You can be very grateful that we got this season in. And like I said, if we should ever, knock on all the wood, say your prayers, cross your fingers, cross your toes, ever experience such a situation as this again, have better foresight in the planning.
All right, well, we've talked about it already. 9 All-Stars have missed playoff games. That's the most in league history. Joel Embiid being one of those. One of the reasons the 76ers bounced from the postseason, another one of the biggest reasons, was the ineffective play of former #1